Hello everybody, so in this video we will be looking at the LeetCode problem 56, that is merge intervals. So the problem statement states that we are given an array intervals where interval of I denotes start of I and end of I, and we have to merge all overlapping intervals and we have to return an array of non-overlapping intervals. Okay, so what the question is saying is, so if we have this array with the values 1, 3, 2, 6, 8, 10 and 15, 18, and if I index this as, so this column is showing the start time and this column is showing the end time. So what we have to do is we have to merge uh, all these values, all these rows in, yes, we have to merge all these intervals so that they don't overlap. So if we see, uh, is there a overlap? Yes, 3 to the interval is overlapping, 6 8 there is no overlap, there is no overlap. So in the end my answer will be 1 to 6, 8 to 10 and 15 to 18. So this will be my answer. So how can we do this is, if we can keep our I here and then a j ahead, and then for each I can iterate over this array and check if my this value for a particular I is it greater than this or equal, and if it is the case I'll change my answer. If suppose I have a pair of answer, so I'll change the second value to this 6, and this will take a time complexity of n square, and we have to make sure that this array is sorted, so that will another take order of n log n for sorting, and this will be the brute force. So can we optimize this? Yes, we can optimize this. We can remove this square and we can do this in n plus log n for the sorting. So what we will do is, the example I was having was 1 3 2 6 8 10 and 15 to 18. Now I index this. This is 0 and 2 3, the row indexing, and this is 0 and 1. So what I'll do initially is I'll take a pair. So I have a pair of int and int, right, and I store the values 1 and 3 in this. So I have this. Now what I'll do is I'll iterate over my rows from index this, then to this and to this, and I'll check whether this my array of I0, is it less than or equal to 3. If it is less than or equal to 3, so that means that this sequence 1 3 and 2 6, if I see 1 3 and 2 6, I can see that they are overlapping, that 3 is greater than 2. So if they are overlapping, I'll change my pair second to 6, and my pair becomes, instead of 1 3, it becomes 1 6 now, right, it becomes 1 6, and I move ahead. Then my I is here and my pair is 1 6 at this moment. So now my pair is 1 6 and I is pointing to second index. Okay, now I will again check, is my 6 greater than 8 or is my 8 less than or equal to 6. No, this is not the case, and if it is not the case, I will put this pair to my vector, a 2D vector, which I have to return in the question. Yes, I have to return a 2D vector, so I will put this value into a 2D vector. So my vector is having a value 1 6, right. So that is, and when I see they are not overlapping, my pair will change to something as 8 and 10. So my pair becomes the value at that particular index for both the columns. Now in the next step, my pair is 8 10, right. Let me just erase this. So this is my pair now, and now my I is here to third index. Now I see, okay, this is not overlapping at all, so I will just insert 8 and 10 because there is no overlapping. If there is no overlapping, I will just insert the pair into the vector, and after that I'll come out of the loop. But then I have to make sure that I have to insert this last pair as well. So I have to, after coming out of the loop, I have to insert this into my vector as well. Okay, so when I code this you will get to know, but the time complexity for this and the pseudo code if I discuss. So first of all, let us discuss the pseudo code. So I will have a pair of int and int p, and initially my p is make pair. Let us take ARR of 0 0 and ARR of 0 1. So this is my pair initially, and let us suppose this is my answer vector, and I have now I'll traverse from I equals to 0 I equals to 1. So I'll traverse from I equals to 1 till I less than n and I plus plus. And now for each traversal I will check if my p dot second is it greater than or is it equal to my array of I0. If this is the case, my p dot second becomes max of, right, it will become max of, right, in the end it will be max of the previous p dot second and this interval, because we have to take the maximum value, right. So it will be max of p dot second and ARR of I and 1. And if it is not the case, then I can take a temporary vector, and I can push back p dot first and temp dot push back p dot second, and I then push back this temp to my answer. So answer dot push back temp, and after that my pair changes. So my p dot first becomes ARR of I0 and p dot second becomes ARR of I1, right. And when I come out of this for loop, I will do this thing again. I have to do this again. This is the edge case here. I have to do this again. So if I discuss the time complexity for this question, for this approach, and the time complexity will be O of n log n for sorting the array, because we have to sort the array, and then O of n for this traversal, and the space complexity will be O of n, I would say, but this temporary variable will be out of scope, temporary vector, when we come out of the loop. So we should say there is no extra space, but we are using a 2D vector that we have to return, but that is something we have to return, so we won't consider it in our space complexity, and so the space complexity will be a constant, right. So now if I just code this, n equals to inter dot size, I'll change it to inter to save time, inter dot size, and if my inter does not have any value, if n equals to 0, I'll return answer. Let us make a vector of vector int answer. Now I also need a pair, so I'll make a pair of int named as p. Now my p equals to, it will have the value of inter of 0 0 and inter of 0 1. This is my pair. Now I'll loop through for int of I equals to 0. I also have to sort it, so just a minute. Before putting it into the pair, I'll sort it. Sort inter dot begin, inter dot end. Okay, it is sorted. Now I'll loop through. If my p dot second is greater than or equal to my inter of I0, right, inter of I0, if this is the case, my p dot second becomes max of p dot second and inter of I1. And if it is not the case, then what I was doing was I was making a vector int temp, and in this I was adding temp dot push back p dot first. So I put the first value into the temp, pair the first value, and temp dot pushback. Here I am inserting the second value. So instead of pushback we can also use in place back, which is a much better idea. So in the end I'll answer dot pushback my temp, and now my pair changes. So my p dot first equals to inter of I0 and p dot second equals to inter of I1. And now for the edge case I have to do the same thing when I'm out of this loop. So I'll just copy paste this, and in the end I have to return answer, right? And I don't need to update the value after I come out of the loop. And now let us just run this code. It should be working fine. Okay, we got an error. Okay, it should be push, not puhs. Okay, here also there will be. Okay, now it should be working fine. Here example is running. So now let us just submit this. As you can see, it is submitted. So thank you for watching the video, and make sure to hit that subscribe and like button, and see you all in the next video.